Thank you, Mr. Vice President, and thank you for your great leadership on the task force. And thank you to Dr. Birx and Dr. Fauci as well. It's been an honor working with you these past few weeks. When the Vice President first asked me to help on the task force with different tasks, I asked the President what he expected from the task force and how I can best serve him and the task force. What the President asked is that all of the recommendations that we make be based on data. He wanted us to be very rigorous to make sure that we were studying the data, collecting data. A lot of things in this country were happening very quickly, and we wanted to make sure that we were trying to keep updating our models and making sure that we were making informed decisions and informed recommendations to him based on the data that we were able to collect and put together. The President wanted to make sure that we had the best people doing the best jobs and making sure that we had the right people focused on all the things that needed to happen to make sure that we can deliver in these unusual times for the American people. The President also instructed me to make sure that I break down every barrier needed to make sure that the teams can succeed. This is an effort where the government is doing things that the government doesn't normally do. We're stretching, we're acting very quickly, and the President wants to make sure that the White House is fully behind the different people running the different lines of effort to make sure that we get everything done in a speed that the President demands. The President also wanted us to make sure we think outside the box, make sure we're finding all the best thinkers in the country, making sure we're getting all the best ideas, and that we're doing everything possible to make sure that we can keep Americans safe and make sure we bring a quick end to this in the best way possible and balance all the different aspects that need to be thought of while we do this. This truly is a historic challenge. We have not seen something like this in a very, very long time, but I am very confident that by bringing innovative solutions to these hard problems, we will make progress. Today, we were briefing the President earlier. He asked me to come out and talk a little bit about what we've been doing on the supply chain task force, which Admiral Plavchek has been leading. And what he's been very impressed by is the way that we've been resourceful to find product all over the world, all over the country, and we are finding ways to solve the different problems. The President's been very, very hands-on in this. He's really instructed us to leave no stone unturned. Just this morning, very early this morning, I got a call from the President. He told me he was hearing from friends of his in New York that the New York public hospital system was running low on critical supply. He instructed me this morning. I called Dr. Katz, who runs the system, asked him which supply was the most supply he was nervous about. He told me it was the N95 masks. I asked what his daily burn was, and I basically got that number. Called up Admiral Plavchek, made sure we had the inventory. We went to the President today, and earlier today the President called Mayor de Blasio to inform him that we were going to send a month of supply to the New York public hospital system to make sure that the workers on the front line can rest assured that they have the N95 masks that they need to get through the next month. We'll be doing similar things with all the different public hospitals that are in the hotspot zones and making sure that we're constantly in communications with the local communities. One thing I will say, just based on data, is that we've been getting a lot of data from different governors and from different mayors and from different cities. One thing I've seen FEMA do very, very well over the last week or so is now we're getting real-time data from a lot of cities, people who have requests for different products and supplies. A lot of them are doing it based on projections, which are not the realistic projections. The projections change every day as we see the cases, as we see the impacts of the Stop the Spread effort that this task force recommended and the President has been pushing forward. So I do think that we'll see that hopefully there'll be impact of that, and the task force has been working very hard through the FEMA group with Admiral Plavchek to make sure that we're getting the supplies to people before they run out and making sure that we're doing it in a proper way. I'd like to just introduce Admiral Plavchek, who before coming to this, I guess still is, he's the Vice Director for Logistics for the Joint Staff. I got a call from one of the senators saying, well, why don't you put a great military person in charge of the logistics and the supply chain and the Defense Production Act? And I said, well, the President already did that. This is the best man that we have in the country for supplies and logistics. He joined the task force 13 days ago over at FEMA, and he's built a team really at the direction of the Vice President that includes people from FEMA, OMB, the FDA, HHS, the White House, and from everywhere else. And what they've done over the last 13 days has been really extraordinary. We've done things that the government has never done before, quicker than they've ever done it before. And what we're seeing now is we found a lot of supplies in the country. We've been distributing them where we anticipate there will be needs, and also trying to make sure that we're hitting places where there are needs. So I can tell you the people in the task force, they're working day and night. You've got a lot of people in the government. We recognize the challenge that America faces right now. We We know what a lot of the people on the front lines are facing, the fear that they have, that they want to have the supplies they need, and our goal is to work as hard as we can to make sure that we don't let them down. So I just want to thank everybody, and with that, I'll introduce Admiral Plavchek, who's doing an amazing job.